I'm a business major. When it comes to money, I understand why we need to think globally. But how does learning about world history help me when I start my own business?
I'm a nursing major. It makes sense to learn about viruses and treatments from around the world, but literature? I'm interested in books from our culture, but why literature from other parts of the world?
I'm a general studies major. I have so many other required courses. Why should I study a world language too? How will it help me?
Montgomery College is a public, multi-campus community college in Montgomery County, Maryland, which borders Washington, D.C. We serve nearly 60,000 students a year who come from every corner of the globe. Preparing our students and faculty through the programs, curricula, and opportunities of our new Global Humanities Institute fulfills the Montgomery College ideal of being a relevant force in educating future global citizens. Hello, I'm Rita Kranides, Director of the Global Humanities Institute at Montgomery College. The Global Humanities Institute was created through a grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities to infuse global content and perspectives into our humanities programs, including history, literature, and world languages. But why globalize the humanities? How will it make studies more relevant for our students? What answers do we have for our students who question why world culture and history are relevant to them and their futures? The members of the Internal Advisory Group for the Global Humanities Institute have some answers.
The humanities are what makes us human. Languages, literature, philosophy, religion, history. These are things that we all share no matter where we live in the globe. Why globalize the humanities? Because that is the way we connect with our fellow human beings across the earth.
I believe it's important to globalize the humanities because, ironically, it's one of the best defenses against globalization. As a political scientist, we see a lot of trends towards globalization where the world is merging into one particular culture. And so I like having a globalized humanities because then we get to focus on the diversity, the range, the full range of cultures around the world and the variety that we have. And so as a result, we give empowerment to those individual cultures.
You know, in a world of greater interconnectedness and global economic interdependence, globalizing the humanities becomes increasingly important for all of us. You know, it is critical for our next generation of students to understand foreign cultures, languages, and the complexities of US relations with other nations and the leadership qualities required in cross-cultural context.
Globalizing our humanities program will really help us leverage the power of the humanities to help students develop critical thinking skills, to become more analytical thinkers and creative problem solvers. Globalizing the humanities is especially important at Montgomery College because we have an international student population that comprises between 30% and 40% of the overall population. In fact, in the engineering program alone, 70% of these students are international.
By introducing students to unfamiliar and sometimes uncomfortable beliefs, values, and experiences of other countries and cultures, the Global Humanities class can be a venue for thoughtful debate, for developing a more nuanced understanding of human creativity, historical movements, conflicting needs, and pressing global issues. Once we truly understand and appreciate another culture or nation, it's very difficult to see them as an enemy.
The Global Humanities is aligned with a desire to give voice and open conversation. Literature has always been about opening imaginative possibilities. And when we globalize literature, we have the opportunity not just to investigate how other cultures experience their realities, but we get the opportunity to find out where our assumptions are.
Truly, truly, truly. The humanities have justified themselves for a long time and continue to justify themselves in part by trying to highlight one civilizational tradition and, at least by implication, if not outright, talking about its superior qualities. We've been servants of national and civilizational identity, and global education calls on us to do more than that.
History has to instruct young people about things of the past that are not just relevant to us here, but really are relevant to people throughout the world, not just here in the United States. Goods and services cross international borders now. And when they do that, their history also crosses the borders with them. So we need to understand and appreciate those different histories.
To globalize the humanities, it's really important to do that here because the students need an awareness of the variety of cultures and the diversity of everything from music to language and other facets of culture around the world.
One of my favorite things to do as a professor at Montgomery College is to bring in a big map and have students mark every place that they and their families come from. And what an incredible and fun thing it is at the end of that exercise to be able to say, between the lot of you, the sun never sets. At Montgomery College, we have this incredibly rich and diverse community, and the Global Humanities Institute gives us a way to draw on the strengths of that community.
By globalizing the humanities, we open the world to our students, to the breadth of artistic expression, the human history of relationships and cultural exchanges, the complex web of causes and effects, and all the diverse ways that people have tried to answer the great questions of human existence.
We know from employers that they're not just looking for students who can work in the STEM disciplines, science, technology, engineering, math. They also want students who can think critically, be creative problem solvers, and bring fresh perspectives to the table, and globalizing humanities is a perfect way to do that.
Typically, American university students are increasingly engaged in courses that are steeped in international perspective. Students at community colleges in general have fewer options. Our students are historically comprised of first-generation college students, minority students, and students of financial aid. They are traditionally underrepresented in study abroad and are less likely to be exposed to global issues. If this trend continues, these underrepresented groups will remain on the sidelines. So at Montgomery College, launching this Global Studies Institute gives our students access to the knowledge that is required to compete in today's global economy and today's global society.
Montgomery College is the perfect place to globalize the humanities. If we look around, we see more than 170 nations represented and scores of languages spoken on our campuses. Montgomery College is the globe, and it is the place to globalize the humanities.
The humanities as a whole, as everyone knows, is the language that we speak when we want to talk about what's most important to us in our cultures, both in terms of what is personal and what is political. It speaks the many, many concerns that each culture shares. And it is a very, very vital part of who we are as educators and what this institution does. The Global Humanities is enriched and renewed through the Global Humanities Institute.